The teacher asked the student to do the questions on the blackboard. When the student turned around after the questions, Viola lifted her skirt to reveal her stocking-covered thighs. Viola is so bold because her husband is in the stocking business. The busy business made her husband go out a lot and gradually left her alone. Viola was tired of this life. She began to look forward to the ripples of a new life. She had recently taken over a classroom. The students were adolescents and curious about the adult world. They were deserting class and even passing notes. The topic of conversation is always hormones. Today, something even more outrageous happened. A student named Stig used a few people's chewing gum as bullets and fired it with a slingshot to hit the flies in the classroom. Viola didn't say anything during class, but she left Stig alone when he was getting ready to go home after school. Viola first told Stig that it was unhygienic for several people to chew one piece of gum. There was a high risk of disease transmission. He was responsible for cleaning up the traces of flies he had swatted. Finally, he had to hand over the note he had passed in class. Stig lied that he didn't have the note on him, but Viola wasn't fooled. She points out that the note is in his pants pocket. Stig had to admit defeat and take out the note. Viola asks him to read out the note, but Stig says he can't read it out. Viola took the note to him and saw that the contents were indeed a little bit too indecent. But instead of getting angry, she laughed out loud. She said that the boys' expectations of their abilities were too high. Then she asked Stig to clean up the flies. He stood on a chair and cleaned up. He looks down and sees the back of Viola's collar. Maybe it was the heat of his gaze. Viola felt something and turned back. He hurriedly went back to scrubbing the walls, but he couldn't help but look again. The thin necklace around the neck. Stig took one look and blushed. He hurriedly cleaned up and said goodbye to the teacher. The next day when Viola arrived, Stig was the only one in the classroom. Flipping through the dictionary, he asked the teacher what mediocrity meant. Viola thought he would give up after her explanation, but Stig continued to look in the dictionary. He wanted to know more about what it meant. He put the dictionary back where he found it after reading it. Viola's wraparound skirt made him feel excited, and he couldn't stop looking at her. He put the book away and still stood behind her. Viola sensed something and turned her head away. From then on, Viola had a fatal attraction for Stig. The other kids had gone off to play after class. He was now downstairs staring at Viola's office. It just so happens that Viola is standing in front of the window. She takes a few steps back as if she's being burned by the obsessive gaze. Besides at school, Stig also comes down to Viola's house. Sometimes he sees her differently. Viola in her nightgown on the balcony looking into the distance. Stig was no longer satisfied with just looking at Viola. He began to create opportunities to touch Viola, intentionally or unintentionally. When Viola was about to pass by him, he would put his hand on the edge of his desk and wait for her to accidentally bump into him. He even noticed the chair Viola had been sitting on. When he was returning her books, he couldn't help but kiss the chair. It seemed that by doing so, he could be closer to Viola. Finally, the class president was not in class one day. Viola needed a student to accompany her to the map room. Stig didn't hesitate to raise his hand and got himself a chance to spend some time alone with Viola. The female teacher in the wrap dress looks very sexy when she walks. The boy was staring at her from behind, but accidentally broke the handrail. Viola saw that he could not fix the handrail, so she returned to help. At that moment, someone passed by. Viola subconsciously pushed the boy to the corner. At that moment, he could no longer suppress his desire and kissed her. Viola was in a state of ecstasy and started to respond to him, but when she came to her senses, she immediately pulled away. By now, the atmosphere between the two of them is very ambiguous. They looked at each other and shyly lowered their heads. Someone came in to get the utensils. They both rushed to hide in the small space. Viola took Stig's hand and kissed it, and did not resist his intimacy at all. This one incident brought them closer together. During class, Stig rubbed his lips together and couldn't stop looking at Viola. Viola also smiled down with a look of impatience. After that, they started to date a lot. The map room was their secret space, but Viola didn't expect Stig to be so bold. He had the audacity to come to her house alone after school. They Saturday on the couch after doing some work and talked. Viola told him not to come over uninvited next time because her husband might be home. She warned that if there was a car parked downstairs or if there was classical music playing, then never go upstairs. But accidents happen quickly. Stig was sipping wine this day when he heard a noise downstairs. He quickly hid behind another door. Just as Viola had said, Kjell turned on the music as soon as he got home. Stig wanted to slip away when he wasn't looking, but Kjell turned his head and stopped him in his tracks. Kjell calmly acquiesced to the fact that he was a student who had come for a tutorial. Stig was relieved and said goodbye to him before rushing off. A disheveled Viola emerges from the room and quickly wraps herself in her clothes. She didn't let her husband know anything was wrong, and Viola became more and more daring. She even held Stig's hand at school until someone came over. Sometimes Stig didn't wake up at the end of the day. Viola would let him go back to sleep. Then she went to school to help get him out of school. This day Stig bought a bouquet of flowers to put in a vase. But then Kjell suddenly came back with a bouquet of flowers. He could only hide the flowers behind him and watch Kjell put them in a vase. Stig found Kjell very talkative. After this time together, the two would sit comfortably together and enjoy the music. Kjell would also teach him how to sew wool socks, how to watch the market for nylon fabrics. The more Stig liked Kjell, the more he felt guilty. Finally, one day Kjell found out about his wife's affair with Stig. Stig thought he would be angry, but Kjell wasn't, because Kjell had drunkenly cheated on Viola. A few days after their wedding, he had nothing to say about the punishment his wife had given him. After this incident, Kjell continued to listen to music and play soccer with Stig. He made Stig feel loved by his father. If Viola was his physical mentor, Kjell was his spiritual dancer. Stig's heart was in a tizzy. Coincidentally, a girl his age reached out to him. The girl took off her shirt and stripped her naked. "You can do anything you want to me." But Stig frowned for a while. At first, the girl thought he was shy, but she gradually understood that he was not interested. The girl's pride was badly hurt and she fled. Stig didn't like girls his own age. He is only attracted to Viola's mature charm, but Stig discovers that there is no love between them. Viola sees her husband as a hostage to her capture of love. She was only with Stig for his youth and good looks. She gets bored after a long time together. Stig wants to slowly withdraw from this fruitless relationship. He came to Viola's house again this day, but Stig is here to see Kjell. Kjell has been drinking a lot due to his business failure. Stig tries to comfort him, but finds he can't say anything, and he could only watch Kjell drink until he fell down. It was hard for Stig to watch a distressed Kjell, but Viola, his wife, didn't care. She just wanted to ask Stig to go to his room and have some fun. He went in, but he took a blanket and covered Kjell with it and left Viola's house. Stig's intention to get away from her was so obvious. Viola tried to win back his love by asking him to write on the board. She lifts her skirt up where only Stig can see it. She also wrote a message in her notebook that she would see him tonight at 7. But this time Stig doesn't pay attention to the teacher's temptations. He turned to a girl his own age to find a pure love. Stig asks the girl to go to the movies. Viola finds out and comes along. She does everything she can to seduce Stig, but she's finally hooked. The girl saw them together. She couldn't forgive Stig, so Stig and the girl parted ways. Although Viola had gotten Stig back, but she knew very well that she and Stig could not have the same love as before. This stalemate was painful for her. Viola asked Stig to her home. "I see her in this state, and it's really worrying. She used to be a cold teacher, but now she is desperately seeking love." She even threatened Stig by smashing the bottle in her hand. "Can you hear me? Unbutton me. You take off my clothes for me." Viola is in a state of complete madness. She couldn't be betrayed by another man, so she felt she had to make the first move. Viola left Stig behind the next day and said Stig couldn't stay in her class next year. The official reason she gave was that Stig had repeatedly missed class, thus he failed Viola's class. He also understood the unofficial reason. Viola couldn't stand the thought of him staying in her class. Stig's temper flared up this time too. He missed every class because he was waiting for Viola at home. Viola was the one who helped him with his absences. Now she's using this as a reason to use her power for personal gain. Stig said he was going to expose Viola's selfishness himself, but Viola didn't panic because no one would believe him. Viola calls him up again in class to do a problem. This time she lifted her skirt again to reveal her thighs. Stig looked fascinated. Viola was very happy, but almost at the same time, he kicks down the podium and exposes Viola's ugly face to the others. Stig's behavior did him no good. He was interviewed by the principal. Stig wasn't expelled, but he might get a detention. Stig wants to find out what he's doing with Viola, but Viola's notes asking him out were destroyed. He found no evidence. Stig thought of someone. Kjell knew about the two of them and might be able to help him, but Kjell doesn't want to get involved. Stig's only hope is gone, and that's when the news came that his brother had been killed on the front lines. His brother had always been Stig's idol. Not only was he a great boxer, but his dream of being selected to serve in the Navy submarine fleet came true. In the end, he was killed when the submarine sank. Upon hearing the news of his brother's death, Stig first hid alone in the theater. After the show, and watched the news replay over and over again. He left all his sad tears in the darkness of solitude. Then Stig stood strong next to his father after the funeral and provided him with a shoulder to lean on. He was no longer afraid of Viola. He walked into the school hall, where everyone was gathered to confront her to unbutton his pants and walk away proudly. Viola can't do what she wants with him as a teacher, but Stig is not afraid of Viola as a woman, and he will not bow down. The boy gets his first taste of the coldness of the adult world in a double ordeal. He takes up the burden of life to bear the suffering and accept injustice. The last shot of the film is very meaningful. The boy walks out of school carrying two heavy books in his hands. Stig walks steadily towards the front. Each step he takes represents the growth of an individual and the stirrings of adolescence. We can't always be as excited as when we first meet our loved ones. The hot lips of young love, the fervor of beauty. Such a marvelous splendor is not meant to last. We love the beginning of the movie, but we know the end. Dreams always return to reality. Surprisingly, the character of Stig in the film is the director's son. Both his look and appearance meet the criteria of a great actor, and the female teacher Viola is the director's second wife. The real-life relationship between Viola and Stig's character is that of a stepson and stepmother. So that's the end of today's story. If you like the movie, please like and comment. Thanks for watching. See you next time.